This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio is brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Centre, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. And Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures. Thank you. Appreciate you joining us today. Why are you laughing already? Wonderful program.
That was a good response you had.
Wonderful program, as usual. I'm excited about this show today.
I know you are.
I first found out about this a few weeks ago. A company approached us about starting to advertise and use some of our media to spread their message. And we get a lot of that, but this one was particularly interesting because the product that we are going to be talking about today and in future programs is one that's very close to what Mr. Bowman and I do every day for a living, and that is fish. And so joining us later on is Dr. Paul Cooley of Next Gen Environmental, I think is the company. They've come out with a product called
Anglers Leaderboard.
In case I couldn't come up with it.
I knew you were going, as soon as you said, I thought I'd going to help my brother out.
And they have an ice app that's called...
it's called Ice Time.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I was waiting. I was waiting. I thought I'd let you do it, but you screwed it up.
So in the weeks ahead, you'll be hearing a lot about this. But today we thought we'd bring them on just sort of to launch it here on the show. And we're going to talk about one of the products, and that's the Anglers Leaderboard. In depth and get a little more info because it's fascinating. It's not unlike something we have talked about for years. Saying, man, if somebody could just come up with and do that, wouldn't that be great?
It's a real fun idea.
It's going
to be a lot of fun for everybody that participates, and you can have a little competition, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll get into it. It's good.
That's right, Peter.
Have fun with it.
That was very well put.
Thank you.
Very well articulated.
Well, I'm all about articulations.
You are absolutely.
I articulations.
We may even have this stuff for sale at some point in the store.
Come on now.
Would that be what, Dean? Did we think about that at all?
We didn't think about that, but we should.
But what a great place to make it available.
Yeah.
Is at the Fishing Canada store, shop.fishingcanada.com, which, by the way, I don't know whether you've noticed, but if not, I will highlight it for you. This lovely piece that I have on today.
This piece?
Yes.
Piece, okay.
Lovely piece. Why?
No, I didn't. I know clothing is kind of weird.
Piece.
It's a piece of art.
It's piece.
It's garment.
Clothing.
I would say garment.
Just garment, but piece brings it up one level. It elevates
the Mona Lisa.
Well, it's a piece, right? And it's a UV piece at that.
Come on now.
You be a piece, all right. I'll tell you that.
Got long sleeves on it. Very long.
Yes.
So it's going to be my new fishing outfit. Anyways,
no way. Are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Available on fishingcanada.com. I believe it comes in other colors as well. But it will protect you from those sun rays.
Big deal nowadays. It's the thing to do. It's not just a fad. It's a reality. It's a good idea to do that.
But while you're there, you can also check out some of the other merch.
You got to stay warm before it gets sunny, right? In the morning, you take off in the morning. You got the hoodie on, and then you take that off, and you got your UV protection on. You catch 300-400 fish, put it in your app there, and you go home.
That looks orange to me. How about to you?
No, about orange. It's close to orange. Yeah, it's
not orange though. It's caramel. It's a brownish color. I don't know. Could we talk to the folks who work on our color processing?
Yeah.
I think there's some new images to come.
Dean, can you?
I'll look into this.
Look into that. See what they can do, because that looks orange. That's misleading to me.
Well, if I ate a caramel, when you have those little caramel candies, it is orangey to the caramel. Yeah.
Caramel is like this desk. Darker, but like this desk.
Yeah. Good. Okie then.
Listener
the
feedback.
Color palette now.
listener feedback. Mr.
Yes,
Bowman.
I want this name is the best name ever. I don't know where this came from, but it's at Carl Handler-WN1NI. on YouTube. It's pretty good, eh? That's a good
Why?
handle.
What's the one end? What's so good about it?
I just love it. It's like, where the hell did that come from?
It's a bunch of letters and numbers thrown together.
I know.
After his
You
name.
couldn't
His
put
name
that
is
together.
Carl Handler. What do you mean I couldn't put that together?
You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't have the wherewithal to put that together. You say Angelo at fishing. I just love this. All this WN. It's
But
good.
if
It's
that
very
W,
unique.
if that meant something, if WN1N1, like when you see license plates, you follow cars with these special license plates, like they do it because every one of those letters, if you read it as a word, it means a word. But this does
right.
not.
That's right. That's why I like this so much. It's like, where the hell did that come from? Dean says it's just the YouTube algorithm threw that out to him, right? And that's probably
yeah,
right.
it's
So.
a default
Or is it
name.
win one Nye?
Win one, Matthew Nyes. Win the Stanley Cup, Matthew Nyes.
Oh, I could dig that.
There you go.
Okay, Carl Handler, what do you got?
Carl Handler, I love it. In response to our episode on drive-to lodges, he says, "Save your money to do this. I went once and I've been chomping at the bit to go again." It's as simple as that.
So he's talking about just like a lodge, a
Do
drive-through
it.
lodge.
Yeah,
he
going-
says go. If you've never been to a lodge, go.
To a fishing lodge.
Because we do have people who complain sometimes, like, "Oh, it's not. How could it be worth the money? It's expensive. It's all this." But
Well, I think we get more of that with the fly-in lodges because
Yeah.
the added element of cost too. But these drive-to lodges, they're quite reasonable
Oh,
when
my
you
God.
think about it.
No, they're cheap.
For a trip of what you're getting, the quality of trip you're getting. I think Carl's right here. This is save your money to do this at least once. And Carl did it once, and now he wants to do it again.
Yep.
So, yeah.
No,
thanks,
drive-to
Carl.
lodges are inexpensive, man.
Yeah.
Some of them are cheaper than a night at the Have a Nap Motel, for God's sakes.
Have a nap. What was that on? What show was that on? That was a TV show. Had to be.
What, Have a Nap?
Yeah, wasn't it? Or was it a...
No, Have a Nap was on Kingston Road.
No.
Just in Scarborough. Absolutely.
Oh my God! Have
They
a nap.
even rent by the hour, for God's sakes. You didn't have to get it all night. It's called Have a
I
Nap.
love it.
Yeah.
Have a nap. There ain't much napping going on in that hour. I'll guarantee you that.
But no, they're inexpensive. When I look at the prices of some of these places, I can't believe they're so inexpensive.
Yeah.
Considering that you're not just getting a great accommodation, you're not getting a room and a bed and all that stuff, but tremendous food, but the environment that you're in.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Right? The
Yeah.
environment that you're in. Like, people don't take that into account when they're pricing these things out.
You know what else, Angie? When you said tremendous food, but even the probably as much fun as the fishing or anything else is if you bring your own food to these places.
Oh,
and you're
my
preparing
God.
your own
I
food.
love
You're having
that.
a little at the picnic table or whatever
I
in the
love
kitchen
that.
screen. It's just
I
so
love
cool when you
that.
do that stuff. You know what I mean? You have the
I love
eggs in the
that.
morning and it's good. It's a
One of the best that I'll never forget was you, Stevie, and I at
oh Jesus! Here we go.
was that Anderson's, right?
Anderson's.
Oh my God! Oh my God! The dock catching the pickerels. Oh my God! That's world class right there. That's a world class memory right there.
Oh,
Right?
that was the best.
You know what I mean? Stan
Simple,
and Steve are
simple,
Stan's just
but-
catching the fish. Steve's putting them in a bucket and he's bringing them up to me and I'm cleaning them all in one processing line. It was the best. And then we cooked them up and ate them afterwards.
Oh,
right? Oh, it was so
fantastic.
fun.
Anyways, Carl, yeah, great message to those folks who maybe have not ventured out, maybe sitting on the fence saying, you know what?
Just try it.
Especially,
Try it.
let me throw this out there. There is a bit of controversy now with this political thing with Canada, U.S. There's some folks who are saying, yeah, I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to the U.S. anymore. They don't like me. I'm not going down there. Well, you know what? That might be the perfect reason to say
kick Trump in the arse and go to a lodge. There
Go
you
to a lodge here in Canada and take the family. Don't do it by yourself. Take the family, or go with a bunch of buddies, obviously,
Yep.
and just have at it and just see how wonderful of an experience spending 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 nights in one of these tremendous wilderness opportunities can it's beneficial to your health.
Try to not do it again after you go
Yeah,
once.
exactly.
Just try not to do it again. You're going to be surprised at how hard it will be because it's so much fun. So
There you go. Thank you, Carl Handler, WN1N1 via YouTube. You like that, right?
You missed a couple. Spots.
W
you missed the dash.
and
You missed
one.
the dash and I, not one. So come on. If you're going to give Carl credit for this great creation that he put in there, there's no one in the end.
Great creation.
Look at this thing. And Carl took time.
my God.
Carl took his time to make sure his YouTube handle was the
Did
bomb.
you know, Mr. Bowman?
I know a little bit, but not a lot.
Not a lot. Okay, and it seems to be getting less and less.
Well,
as you
I'm
get there.
trying to shut her down, right? Really? I'm the old vault. I'm trying to empty out the vault and then just say, okay, all I need to do is catch a fish every now and then, and I'm good.
Conservation Corner brought to you by the good folks at Invasive Species Centre.
Yes,
I
sir.
want to remind us all not to let up on the vigilance that we need to stay on top of this grass carp situation. One of 4 Asian carps that's currently knocking at the door. The potential devastation is unthinkable. They consume vegetation at an incredibly high rate, 40% of their body weight each day. And that could displace an awful lot of critters that we happen to love and enjoy pursuing as a recreational activity.
Pretty much ruin your lake is what's going to happen.
Pretty much ruin your lake.
That's
So
what's gonna happen.
what they're asking us to do is to stay on top of this, make sure that we're aware of, first of all, identifying what they look like, because if you doesn't know what you're looking for, you can't find it.
That's right. You'd be
So-
downloading the reporting guide. That's what you'd be doing
Yeah.
at asiancarp.ca. And then you would have yourself armed with the info. And then you know what he looks like. And then taking care of business. Can I sing that? Is that, are we going to get fined for singing BTO?
Probably. All that info is available, asiancarp.ca, and you do your part just like we're doing our part.
Yes.
To make sure that we are all aware of this intrusion of this invasive species.
Stay on it,
Come on
people.
now.
Stay on it.
Where are we going now, Mr. Bowman? Where
We're
would you
going to
like
the news.
Well, do
that
tell. This one is brought to you by...
J&B Cycle and Marine, Ontario's largest Prince Crab and Mercury dealer, my friend. We have locations in Timmins and Sudbury.
Which, by the way, I just want to point something out right now, because I was thinking about this the other day. So when you're buying a package of this magnitude, right, chances are real good that you've already formulated your, if not the total decision on what you want, but pretty darn close to what that package should have, right?
Okay,
I would think.
Yeah,
I would think.
absolutely.
Chances are real good you've seen the product at one of the various sports shows or some other place where these boats would be on display. So you've done the touchy-feely thing. So... Because I was thinking the other day, well, how are people going to be, if you're not in Timmins or Sudbury, how are you going to be able to buy a boat package of this magnitude?
Yeah.
But then I got to think,
Without
well,
ever seeing
people, what am I talking about? I buy cars on the internet unseen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People buy
Yeah.
cars
Yeah,
on
yeah.
eBay
Yeah.
unseen.
Well, I mean, you go to the Princecraft site. I mean, you would not, if you're going to J&B, you're going to also go to the Princecraft site. If you're looking at a Princecraft,
course.
you're going to see all the models. I mean, they have a great layout. You can change the colors of your boat, change the graphics. So I think you get a pretty good idea
Absolutely.
of these rigs and what they look like and all that
So
stuff.
all of a sudden it made sense, as we're telling you every week to go to a J&B, or in this case, jbcycle.com, which is where you would go if you're ordering it online and seeing all the goodies about motor trailer packages. All of a sudden it makes sense. I say, hey, yeah, that's doable. However, if you want to take a drive up to Sudbury or Timmins, which is not too far from any place in this part of the country, be a nice drive.
Be a nice
It'd
drive,
a
that's for
great
sure.
opportunity to go meet Rob and his whole team, and then you can do the touchy-feely thing right there because he's got all the inventory. That's the beauty of Rob's place, right? It's got it all there.
Oh, yeah. And then some. You got everything.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to make sure that we were in tune with that.
Yeah. Like nowadays, a lot of shopping is done online as
Sure it
well,
is.
right? So why not get your rig there too? Yeah.
Yeah, and then some.
And then some.
Yeah.
Get your rig.
jbcycle.com. Bob, are we boring you today? A little bit. Yeah.
He doesn't want to. Boba doesn't want to buy a boat, right? He
No.
doesn't. He says he's got our boat with him. He
Yeah,
says, "I
what's he
got the
need
boat.
now?
I don't need another boat."
Got everything.
I got it. Good.
He doesn't need anything now.
He must probably buy a new drone. I'll bet he wants to buy a new drone
Oh,
pretty
sure.
soon.
Oh, sure. He's got all kinds of grandiose ideas of shit. Anyways. J&B Cycle, your outdoor superstore when it comes to all things marine. Boats, motors, trailers.
In the news,
trailers.
Angelo, DDT. What does DDT stand for? Does anybody know?
I used to know that.
I did. Well, aside from in wrestling, because that was the best move ever in
the
wrestling.
DDT.
The DDT in wrestling. Well, let's not make it funny because this is a series that's still found in brook trout in New Brunswick. So we did a show on this. Was it
Fishing Canada
2 years
episode.
ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On was the Miramichi?
Miramichi.
And about this DDT, about how it's been used many years in the past, and it's still leaching down and into the waterways.
And it's
now
a pristine looking, beautiful waterway that
oh my God, you don't
you
see
never
any of
know
this
it.
stuff. No, you never know it. Even
There's no way you guys ever knew what this stood for. DDT. It's the biggest word I've ever seen.
I knew.
It's one word?
Dichloro-diphenyl
Trichlorine. Yeah.
Trichlorothane.
Yeah, that's what
like
it
the
was.
whole alphabet in one
The
word.
DDT. DDP did the Diamond Dallas Page did the DDT, didn't
Diamond Dallas
I
Page.
think Mick Foley had the DDT.
Yeah, he had one too.
Mick
Yeah.
Foley ripped off everybody. Never had himself too many
That's not
characters.
true.
He was everybody.
He was too many. That's right. He didn't rip off because you.
My favorite was the guy with the half mast there.
Mankind.
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 That was my favorite. Of
Oh
them.
yeah. You didn't like Cactus Jack?
No, not really.
Yellow lumberjack, the
No.
Oshawa dinner jacket on there.
I think he was ripping off when he did that one. He was ripping off the other guy with the 2x4.
Hillbilly Jim, or
That's
whatever
it.
it was.
Yeah.
Those were the days for wrestling. Sorry, guys, we're getting off on
Cool.
track here, but
Cool.
that was if you ever want to watch good wrestling matches, go back in time to that stuff right there. That was the best. Location: the remote rivers and streams in New Brunswick. So historical content. The DDT was widely used in the 50s to the 70s to combat spruce budworm. So it was obviously an insect that they were trying to get rid of. And Canada banned DDT in 1985 because of the environmental concerns, and obviously it's going to kill the insects. Wait a minute, is that all it's going to kill? No, you didn't.
This was the largest spraying of DDT in the history of the world. This was massive.
Yeah.
We don't realize just how big it was. And yet to this day...
Planes, right? They did it through airplanes.
Just
like they're putting out forest fires with water.
They just totally blanketed that whole area. And think about it. They're spraying it on river banks. They're spraying it on all the trees that are adjacent to the massive, beautiful, wonderful Miramichi and not realizing that
and these
someday...
riverbanks don't go upwards like a
No,
dike.
they go down.
They go downwards.
That
into
being the case, I'm shocked to this day that when the decline of the Atlantic salmon comes up, which it does in every conversation when you're talking
my
about the
God.
East Coast,
As soon as you
but
say the words.
not once have I heard in that discussion of this DDT.
You're absolutely
fiasco.
right. You're absolutely right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Not once do you say, yeah, I think when we sprayed all of that stuff there on the river, it might have had an environmental impact to the point where it might have killed all of our salmon stock. Never once.
And then-
it's bass, it's muskie, it's
Yeah.
like you name it, but it has nothing to do
and
with
let's take it a
DDT.
step further in that, that was a way back then, but no, this right here proves that
Well,
it's
tell
going
us.
on right now.
Because
so
it's
it's not
still
just
there.
brook trout. If you examine every fish out there, you'd see that including Atlantic salmon, the DDT is present. If it's in brook trout, there's no way it's not in salmon, right?
You have to find them in order to prove that.
Well, that's why they use brook trout. They're easier to find than the salmon out there.
I wonder if the stripers have got it in them.
Oh, why wouldn't they? I would think the muskie, the striper, everything else would. Now, them being maybe more of a coarse type of fish, trout are delicate and salmons are delicate, so maybe they can handle it a little better. Maybe I don't know, but I'm sure it's still there with all fish species, right? And deer that eat the greens and drink the water, they're going to get it too. I would think.
Everything's affected by it. That's craziness. Huh? DDT can affect fish reproduction. Hello.
Yep, just talking about it.
And development, even in low doses. Bioaccumulation poses a threat over time, which is another case to make for the Atlantic salmon.
Sure it is.
Right?
Sure it is.
Anyways, a pretty incredible story that you would think in today's day and age that we are still feeling the effects of something that could have probably started impacting us, 40, 50 years ago?
Well, you and I don't know about you. I think you're in the same boat as me. When we started writing the show.
I'm in the boat with you every day, pretty much.
When we started writing the show last.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you. Go back to, I'll wake you up when you need to. Go ahead. Sorry.
When we were writing that show last year or whatever, the year before, whenever it was, not that long ago, it's really the first that I had ever heard of it. I think you too. So it's like, this is almost a hidden thing, right? Now it's being exposed, but I mean, maybe the locals knew about it, but the world did not know about it. That's for sure.
Kind of like they hushed it up.
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyways, go check the story out at SalmonFishingCanada.com. We're not, obviously, we're just highlighting a few of the interesting notes, but you got to go check it out. It's in the news at fishingcanada.com. Fan question of the week. Brought to you by fishfindermounts.com. Speaking of .com.
Hey, there's the guy right there. That's good work, Dino. That's not the guy.
It's pretty close to the guy.
Kind of like the guy.
That's the guy next to the guy.
That's the guy that was complaining about the guy.
Right.
That's this guy. This is that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Brought to you by fishfindermounts.com. Submitted by @Ladybug Adventures. That name sounds familiar.
Yes, it does.
We had him on the show before.
Yes.
Or he wrote in before, and we met him at the Sportsman Show this year because you guys weren't too sure if
Ladybug was a
man
lady,
or a woman,
lady or a bug.
He is a man.
He is a man.
With daughters who like ladybugs, and he likes to fish with them.
Okay, so @Ladybug Adventures.
With his daughters or with ladybugs?
He fishes with his daughters.
Oh. Okay.
Ladybugs make good bait.
I bet you they would.
When the hatch is on, I'll bet you that.
Sure they would. Kind of little, but.
Yeah, but still on that one.
I like that. And you got the right color shirt on. You look like a ladybug out there.
It's not pink. How come it's not pink?
Well, ladybugs aren't pink. Ladybugs are red.
Red. Okay, so it's red. I thought you were mocking me having the pink.
Me mocking you.
No, yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen, buddy.
Duh.
Anyway, so this is a long fan question, but we'll read it because it's very important. This is a very.
I once met a man. I believe that's how it starts.
Where was he from?
Nantucket.
Oh,
believe,
yes, I know
like
that guy.
Yeah.
I know his whole story. It's not long. It's kind of like a limericky thing. Here from Ladybug Adventures via YouTube. I saw a guy with waders walking in the middle of a small local river, the Rouge River, today, straight through spawning rainbows. Literally, kid you not, right through their bed areas. I politely asked him what he was doing, and he didn't have a rod, so he didn't have a fishing rod. He said he was hunting for lures and fishing tackle. When I politely informed him that the trout were spawning right where he is standing, and that the fish were currently doing so, and that this was not the right time to be doing this, he responded he has never heard of this and it was not a good idea, and that when people are fishing, they also walk down the river. I tried to inform him best practices and that no good anglers walk straight down the middle of the river when they want to catch anything. He just kept walking through the beds and repeating what the hell?
The way you read stuff, it just kills me.
I can do it like a movie.
Try putting some periods at the end of sentences.
Oh my God! I don't want to bore the people. I want to just get the story out there.
I'll tell you right now, you need to reread that because I totally misunderstood.
That's because you're laughing at me. You can't listen when you're laughing. So is everybody else laughing at me?
Bottom line is some goon was walking down the middle of the river. Another gentleman saw that, took exception to it.
Angler saw that.
Went over to Ladybug, went to him and said, hey, you really shouldn't be walking down the middle of the river. And the guy said, how come? I'm only out here collecting lures and whatever he's collecting. And the guy said, well, because you're walking on possible beds that have eggs and you're killing potential lifeblood of this very stream, steelhead population. You're affecting it all. The guy said, oh, I never knew that. I never heard of anything like that. And then he continued walking down the middle of the stream. That's the story. Now,
Well, thank you for that,
Well,
Angelo.
I just thought I would make it, a little more
Angelo-esque.
Angelo-esque. Yeah.
That's okay.
So he didn't know he was.
Was he still from Nantucket, or was
Yeah, I
he?
believe this guy was.
Or
The
was
guy
he
was
from
reading
Bombay?
this. The guy was reading this. He
Once
lived in
was a man
Nantucket.
from Bombay. Yeah, we'll go on that one.
I guess the story here is that the guy said he didn't know that was.
Well, his questions
problem,
are, was he wrong in saying this to the guy? And I don't think he was doing anything illegal, but he's simply dumb. Is there anything a conservation officer could do in this case?
I
was
do.
left completely gobsmacked at his lack of comprehension.
I think they do. I think a conservation officer.
They would talk to him. They can't charge him.
No.
They won't charge him. I know that.
But they could talk to him.
They would
I'm
have to
sure they
charge
would.
him. Yeah.
Right?
And unfortunately, it would take a man in a uniform to get through to this guy versus an angler, because he's thinking, yeah, you're over here fishing, you do what you do, I'm doing what I'm doing. And then, you know what, that guy might not even be an angler. He's just collecting lures. You might want to sell them online or some silly thing, or who knows what. You know what I mean? Who knows what they're doing that for? There's all kinds of water collectors now, these guys that go into water with magnets and stuff like that. And,
I question that, though.
what do you mean?
What lures would you be collecting?
Oh, he doesn't. If he doesn't
on a steelhead
if he's not an
river?
angler, he doesn't know. He sees all these fishermen out there. He's thinking, "Oh my God, these fishermen must use lures and lose lures." It could be very as simple as that. It could be very ignorant to it, right? Because otherwise, he's going to get roll bags or
That's right, hooks. Those little
spawn
single-
sack.
yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? And hooks, yeah, and tiny hooks.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
But he's right, and you know what? I've done steelhead fishing. We did a show once, and we got a complaint on that show too. The guys were saying, "Oh, Bowman and his buddy were walking through the reds," but we were not. We were walking along the bank. We would see if we had to fish on the other side. We would walk through. We'd take just shallow areas, these little shallow rifts. You take a look around there. There's not a fish there. They're all in the runs. We'd walk out to that spot, fish away, and come back in, walk up the river, and that. So you got to really be cognizant of these reds. They're called spawning beds.
How
right?
about, though, in parts where you just cannot navigate the shoreline, and the only way you're going to get from point A to point B is through the river itself?
You'd have to be real careful, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, there is that situation too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. If it's shallow enough, these rivers are all clean enough normally.
Mm-hmm.
Clean enough you can see where the fish are spawning. You stay away from that, you know what I mean? You don't interrupt that. But if you're in down to that, up to your hips or whatever like that, you got chest waders on, and the water's a little murkier, then yeah, you wouldn't be able to see.
know.
You would never know. And you know what? I guess I don't know on that one.
Got to be
Do your
careful
best.
with. Got to be careful with how you present this to somebody too, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Without getting yourself in trouble.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of Lugans out there doing this stuff, man.
Oh, there's a lot of Lugans in those creeks doing a lot of
Excuse me.
illegal stuff too. You know what I mean? There's so much of that going on now, like netting of fish and all that. So I had a conversation with, I think it was Hunter, my boy Hunter, yesterday, and he was talking about somebody that netted a fish, and I said, "You do know that's illegal if they didn't catch it right?" Oh, really? Some people don't know that stuff, right? You know what I mean? So, but it goes on. It's not good.
All right, exciting part of the program where we get to speak to a special guest.
Is
in
there
today's
the first part not exciting?
Yeah,
Is that what
it
you're
was.
saying?
It was just you. I mean, how long have we been together? Did you do the math
That's
yet?
very exciting right there. Just trying to figure that
Pretty
out.
hard.
It's
If
exciting.
you and I can get excited with each other after all these years, man, we're damn good, I'll tell you right now. This segment of the program brought to you by Sail, the outdoor store. Sail is home to all good things, fishing, hunting, camping, anything in the
was
outdoors.
that close to going into sale today.
Let me
I was
guess
just
why.
Close.
No, it wasn't because I
What
didn't
for?
lose. Because I thought I had lost the pliers, but I didn't lose the pliers.
That was good too. Inside joke there, everybody.
Anything that you need with regards to the outdoors is available at a Sail store in your area. If you don't have one, which not everybody does, we're fortunate enough to have one, you can go to sail.ca. That's SAIL.ca. They've got sales going on at Sail all the time.
Sail,
right?
sail. Come
Yeah.
sail away.
Up to 60% off on certain select items when you go online and do your shopping there.
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing. See, 60% off, and you don't. But and you wouldn't have to take an hour off work to go do
But
it.
it's nice to go in there.
Yeah, it's
You see the boys and girls and say, "Hey, everybody, how you doing?"
This gentleman joining us now, a fascinating man and an incredibly fascinating subject matter, as we spoke earlier on in the program. He's come up with a couple of really innovative ideas and making them work. His name is Dr. Paul Cooley. He's the founder, president of Next Gen Environmental Research Inc. He's a fisheries scientist living on Lake Winnipeg and an avid angler and a big Fish in Canada fan, I hear, Paul.
I sure am.
Welcome to the program, buddy.
Hey, you're
Great to finally be here.
You're lucky. We just talked to our guys at Garmin down there, and they just completely mapped Lake Winnipeg. It's one of the big lakes that they've done with all the shading and everything. So there you go, buddy. If you have a Garmin, you're going to have the best maps going.
Nice. That's a big job for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So let's, first of all, talk a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got to where you are right now. What did it take?
Well, you know what? Thanks for that. I think each of us, if we probably drill back into our early fishing history, there's a key person in your life that probably showed you a fishing rod.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my grandpa. And he took me out onto the Little Saskatchewan River in southwestern Manitoba when I was just a kid. And I just caught into angling like a fury. Wow. And, you know, the way things turn out, spent each summer with my grandma and grandpa fishing that river, and I just couldn't get it. Next thing I knew, I had a little journal that I would keep with my father and mother that lived here on the south basin of Lake Winnipeg. Barometric pressure, number of catches, species, and this little database. And I was totally just a fish nerd. And little did I know, but those interests would lead me into a life of science. So I always wanted to be, or to take on a career in something that I loved. And there was nothing better than fish and water for me.
You know, when a kid, for you guys. You know, when a kid is keeping the barometric pressure, there's some science involved. That kid is on to something higher, way higher than we are.
We couldn't even spell that.
Oh my God, I still can't. So
I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of it coming. But as life would have it, you know, I ended up doing a master's degree with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans at the Freshwater Institute.
Nice.
And the Experimental Lakes area, which was then run by the feds in Northwest Ontario. And that was all about fish habitat. So I spent a lot of my early days as a student thinking more about habitat than actually the fish. And I did some work also with DFO in Northwestern Ontario. A lot of my work has been on Ontario lakes, working on walleye, juvenile lake sturgeon, mostly those two species. And so I finished off my master, got about halfway through my master's degree, and I was invited into a PhD program. And get a load of this, not only was it fish, it was the biodiversity of Lake Malawi, Africa.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and it was so hard for me to choose because the angler in me. Not that you fish for these fish, because most of them are the size of your finger, but it was such a major decision to make.
No kidding.
I'd wake up one day and say, "Oh, I got to do this." The PhD I was going to work for. He said, "Take 2 weeks to decide." And so I would wake up one day and say, "Oh, I got to do this." And then next day it'd be like, "Oh, 5 more years of school. I can't do this. I got to and you know what? I wrestled with myself for 2 weeks and I realized it would have been easy to say no.
For sure.
So I found myself in a lake the same size as Lake Winnipeg, about 600 kilometers long.
Damn.
But 700 meters deep. And of course it's subtropical. And Lake Winnipeg has in the low 50s of fish species, including minnows and everything.
Right.
And Lake Malawi has 1,000.
Wow.
So it has more fish species than any other individual lake in the world. And I got an opportunity over 3 winters to go down there and study the habitat and study the distribution of the biodiversity and how it paralleled the habitat distributions. And it was just a tremendous experience. So I've been so fortunate through my studies, either with the federal government or academia, and to travel internationally and have insights on lakes from large, like we worked on Superior and Nipigon, all the way down to small little lakes, and doing water sampling and walleye sampling. And so fisheries has been a big part of it, but I'm a little bit of a spin-off from most, that I spend more of my time on habitat than I do actually on the fish themselves, which helps when you're fishing.
I was going
Yeah,
to
no
say,
kidding.
that's probably a good thing.
We
I would
need him
think.
on our boat
Yeah,
for a
no
whole
kidding.
season. Every walleye shoot. You're coming, Paul.
I can read a sonar, that's for sure.
Attaboy.
So that's sort of how I got to, the science part of me started just from fishing a river.
Yeah.
And, I worked gainfully in the private sector for about 14 years. As life would have it, you have opportunities. And I started NextGen in 2017 with the point of being an avid angler and an avid snowmobiler, of finding a way to make lake ice travel more safer. And so we spent the first 6 years of that company working with the Canadian Space Agency, using satellite data to map lake ice hazards. So we're mapping those now using artificial intelligence, machine learning, of radar satellite imagery. So if you have, if the ice is freezing and you're interested in what is going on with the ice now, you can now say a satellite goes over your house at supper time. The next morning, you can have an update on what the ice conditions are, where the ice is formed, where the open water remains, where things like pressure ridges are. We can map pressure ridges from space now.
Wow.
Now we'll get into detail about the ice app, but today I want to talk about the Anglers Leaderboard. If we could,
for sure.
right?
And
But-
so
but-
that was the second project.
Before we leave ice app, though, I do want to just point out, I was speaking to somebody the other day who's also into science and habitat and stuff. And I mentioned this theory of being able to measure ice from satellites, and how I wanted to get a feedback from him, how safe that would be and how that. And apparently he's saying, "Oh hell yeah, that technology is fantastic. It works." And he was all for it. I thought it was going to be a big poo-poo, right?
Right.
Because I'm thinking, how in the hell does satellite? I can see it giving you some generalization about ice conditions, but every body of water, and then within that body of water, they're all different. As you know,
For sure.
currents, there's all kinds of influences that will determine ice safety. But this guy said, "Oh no, we that stuff works great." So it's solid. It's solid. This technology.
There's definitely a story there that we should come back to.
Oh,
but,
definitely,
for sure.
definitely.
Yeah, that's
And
interesting.
The whole key to that application is the radar satellites. So
Right.
radar, it's kind of like more like a sonar than it is a normal satellite that uses the sun's energy to illuminate an image. Radar is more like a sonar. It pings. It has its own energy source, so it can see at night. It can see through clouds. It can see through snow and rain, and it sees through the snow to the ice.
Crazy.
And that's one of the reasons why it's a successful recipe for making
cool.
lake ice travel safe.
That is cool.
And most people don't know you can do it. We're the first in the world to do this.
Good
Now,
for you. That's awesome.
And this is out now, or is coming out soon, or?
Yeah, we had a limited release this last winter in southern Manitoba, and this coming fall it'll be nationwide.
Nice. Well, we'll talk about that for sure. Cool. Anglers Leaderboard. That's the one that's got me really excited.
Yeah, this sounds good.
I'll be honest with you. I'm going to say about 10 years ago, we do a lot of sitting around a table and throwing ideas out within our own industry as to what we can do and what we should be working on, and et cetera. And I remember about 10 years ago, we thought, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if somebody comes up with an app that allows you to take a photograph of your fish and identify the species, so you don't have to put the species in, and in our case, we were talking about other varying conditions, barometer, temperature, wind, local weather, all of these factors matched up with the fish that it identified as a muskie, a bass, whatever it identified it with, and then put it into some kind of, I even remember we called it the live well.
That's right, yeah.
We called it
That's
the
right.
live well, and then would put it into the live well, and it would archive all of this wonderful detailed information, and then we could do stuff with it. You know, we could share it, we could study it, we could use it as a means of understanding the fishery better by being able to go back in time and see when and where, how, and all that stuff. And then we looked at the difficulty and tried to get this to, and we said, nah, let's go fishing.
You gotta be a scientist to be able to come up with something like that. That's what we said.
Let's just go fishing. To hell with it. And so when Dean brought this to our attention, man, we were pretty excited, buddy. I got to be honest with you. This is a great product, and in my opinion, probably overdue, but it's here now. So let's talk about it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We've been working on it for close to 2.5 years. You know, the idea has been, like you say, in my back pocket for some time. We were preoccupied with ice time because that was a big dive. But when we started on Leaderboard, really, there was, well, the impetus again was it was a very simple beginning because my wife and I would go out fishing on the south basin of Lake Winnipeg for greenbacks here for the walleyes. Mm. And when you have those really, really, really good days, I think she would inflate her catches a little. And my catches would somehow go down.
That's a good relationship, right? Typical relationship right there.
You know, honestly, though, she probably does catch more and bigger fish than I do.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do was I said, you know, I should make an app where it just becomes very easy to keep track of your catches.
Yep.
Just pull out your camera, take a quick snap, let the fish go, and then that's fish number 1, 17.5 inches. Thank you. And it's a walleye. And so what we've done, jump ahead some years, is we've made that. But it was really based on the frustration of, you know, if you catch 4 fish and your wife catches 6, well, she had a better day than you. But there's times where, you know, you don't actually know, wow, that was a fabulous day, but was that my best day this year?
Right.
Because you're not recording the stuff that you're catching.
That's right.
And mostly because it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. So what we've tried to do is make something where people can compete with one another and really, really simplify the data capture side of this so that it becomes almost nothing. You know, you put down a board just like you have your bump board today, except our bump board doesn't have a bump. We use AI in the application and it recognizes the board and scales it. And so when you put your fish on there, all you have to do is take a picture. And if it happens to be a very active fish, we've even trained the AI to recognize your hand on top of the fish. So it measures through your hand.
Wow.
And so you can hold it down.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was the data capture side of it. Another thing that people were reaching out to me and saying, or I would see online through social media too, is that people would say, you know, I wish there was something out there that would help me. I want to start to compete, but I don't want to go up against these guys that have been in tournaments for 25 years, fishing $65,000 boats, and they know that body of water for the last 15 years. It's too intimidating for them. And so what we really wanted to do was create a platform that allows people to hold their own smaller, friendly competitions. So this might be, and it's still a competition, you know, it could be, okay, the 3 of us this Saturday, let's go on the water. Let's see if Paul can beat out the boys. And $20 for me, $20 for you, $20 for you. Winner takes all, longest fish or whatever the statistic might be.
And the beauty of that, Paul, too, is we don't have to be in the same area, in the same body of water.
No, I could be fishing Lake Winnipeg and you could be fishing Simcoe.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
And
it's a great idea.
And because you can do that now with internet technology,
sure,
you can enter into the competitive sphere, but still be comfortable where you're fishing and when you're fishing. Mm. And so I know there's certain places that I go to at certain times of year, they're more productive than others. And if I wanted to join a competition and say, well, I'm feeling pretty confident about this lake or this spot in that lake at that time of year, And then you can go into a competition. And then because you're now scoring each fish, because we have a digital capture system, you're getting points. You're getting points for diversity of catches, not just one species. So your points grow more if you're a better and more well-rounded angler. And once you start to build these points, you start to understand what a real good day on the water is. And you say, I got 900 points yesterday. That was a banger of a day.
Different way to look at it, right?
Yeah, that's cool. Hey,
It's kind of hard. It's hard to do. Otherwise, you say like, wow, that was an amazing day. And it still doesn't take away from it in any way, just by resolving it down to a number. But then, one of the things I like to play with this, and we're still not there yet because we just released May 1st, and we want to see it become this. But maybe later in the year, when I chat with you guys again, I can look you both and say, what's your ALB score?
That's true.
True. Yeah. Keep it. Yeah. That's good. Hey, Paul, explain the board. You said there's a measure board of some type there. Explain that, because that's what I was wondering in my head. I'm saying, how does a phone or a picture measure? But you obviously have a little system. Can you explain that?
Yeah, for sure. So we've created a really. This isn't really a vehicle for showing off the product, but if you go to the website, which we'll announce at the end, I guess, you can have a good look at it. But it's a really, really high quality board. Used to -46. It's really, really good quality. And we've designed it with AI in mind. So when you have your camera and our application, our software in your camera, our camera looks at the board and it identifies things on it that we've programmed it to look for. So it recognizes it because it can see all of the things that are on the board. It inherently knows scale. So when you put an object on the board, all you have to do is take a picture of it and we can automatically measure it. So we have a patent pending on that right now because it's such a novel approach. We're patenting it. And so how it works is it's simpler than it seems, but the whole board is just filled with objects that we've trained AI to look for. And when it sees those objects, it already knows the distances between them.
Wow.
I got you. So like a watermark.
That's cool.
Like on a watermark, basically, right? Yeah.
And it's got things on there, and we said, look for this, and this, and this. And if you don't see that, put up an error and says, this is not an ALB board. But because of that, we don't need a bump on the board anymore.
How big is it? How big is the board?
Well, we've got one right now that's 36 inches.
Okay.
But we're working on a larger one for like Lakers and muskies and salmon out west and east.
Yeah. That's
You know what
cool.
somebody? You know what somebody needs to do? Not even just with regular boards, not just with yours, but with yours would be ideal. They need to figure out how to make them collapsible somehow.
There are some, but there's
they're not the
just
ones
like a
I've
half
seen,
collapse, right? Is what
I'm saying something that will go from a
50-something inch.
and you can just
telescopic sort of thing.
Yeah, and then just put it away or travel with it or whatever. You know what I mean? That's one of the problems with the bigger boards, especially for musky anglers.
Oh God, they're huge.
Yeah.
The real bump boards are huge. Yeah, they're
just something
perfect. But
just something. You'll find we're full of ideas, if nothing else, Paul.
Well, I was going to say we should brainstorm this because the reason we don't have that built yet is this exact reason. So we're thinking a lot about it before moving on any individual design.
How about dependency on the internet? Obviously, well, how does that work? How does that go?
It works best in real time. Of course, it's a real time thing where you have cell coverage or access to the internet generally. But even let's say you go out to the lodge and they've got Starlink at the main lodge. There's still a mode that you can use, catch a fish all day, capture the pictures, and then when you get back to the lodge and you're connected to Wi-Fi, then you can switch all your measurements through, and the leaderboard will update in real time, even at the lodge. Whereas, of course, for everybody else down in the south or elsewhere where there's internet access, the regional leaderboard is live all day long. So the positions will always be jockeying as people are catching fish each day, every day of the year.
And so at the end of the day, imagine that we're at the Lodge 88 and all of a sudden, boom, Angelo and Pete, 30 inches, 28, 7, about 30 fish pop up because we got our Starlink in there. That'd be the best.
That was the same idea that we were talking about, because the beauty about it is as long as you've got a phone that can store all of that data, eventually you're going to be within, cell range or satellite range to be able to dump it onto something. So that's fantastic. Now, are you keeping tabs on some of the other variables at all? Like I mentioned before, barometric pressure, cloud conditions, wind, temperature, air temperature, etc.?
Right now, we've worked really hard on the platform that we've got, which really focuses on identifying species and measuring length, or driving weight if you want to. But really what we want to do is just keep our ear to the ground with the community now, and just be very responsive. So when people reach out to us and say, like, this would really be great, and we have a lot of people saying kind of the same thing, we really want it to be a community-driven tool from this point forward. Like, we've done this initial push on our own, but we really want it to be a community-driven tool after this point. So we're going to listen, and what the community wants, we'll work on.
Perfect.
That's great. The more info, the better, right?
So how are people acquiring this now? What do they have to do? Go on your website?
Yeah, so it's called anglersleaderboard.com.
Yeah.
And there's right on the homepage, there's a link to there's content on photo measure and everything that you need to see. And there's, of course, what we haven't talked about yet, which you'll find on the homepage, is the ALB championships.
Oh,
now,
boy.
This is another way that we're different than everybody else. So what we've done by simplifying the data capture, guys, you can kind of think of fishing in a different way, because you're not just going to specific events to document your catches. You can do it all. You don't have to do it every day if you don't want to. If it's a slow day, it's probably pointless. But if you catch fish when you go fishing every day, where you want to and when you want to, you're still competing all of your catches, whether you're in a competition or a tournament, or you're just fishing by yourself off the dock. All of your catches count in the regional leaderboard. And at the end of the year, our championships are Angler of the Year. So what we're trying to say is, and the Angler of the Year is trying to level the playing field for everybody. It could be your neighbor's 20-year-old kid who walks down the back lane and fishes the river each day, but he fishes each day. And the Angler of the Year is just with the largest ALB score. You don't need a big, expensive boat to win it. You could be anybody. You just have to catch a lot of fish and enjoy doing it. And the other ALB championship is one which people that are probably a little bit on a higher competition list would be interested in. And what we do is we take your statistics from each day of the year. And if you don't have to go fishing all that often, we take your 10 best days of the year. And those people are in the ranks for the ALB top 10.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That's excellent.
That's very cool.
I like that.
Now,
So
is this
you
all?
don't have to be in a competition to rack up points. Anytime you go fishing, you're adding points to your ALB score.
Right.
I'm assuming all of this package is proprietary. Everything that you've done in terms of the software and all the logistics that we just went through, that's all protected and owned by you?
Yes.
Okay, so a reason I say that, wouldn't it be great if we could get actual tournament promoters and organizers on board with something like this? Where I mean, this would be the perfect solution. As you know, I mean, the whole tournament industry right now is a little bit on a tightrope, as to whether 5 or 6 fish should be brought into a weigh-in center to be weighed, because you're displacing the fish from its, where it lives. Also, the damage that potentially could be caused by the travel aspect of that fish. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could maybe get something like this in tune with tournament organizers, and this is the way you run your tournament in the future? You just take the picture with the board on the boat. You don't need any witnesses. You don't need anything.
It'd be interesting.
And you release the fish back into the habitat from which it was caught.
Right
Done.
there. Right.
That to me is the most important. And I don't want to naysay the weigh-ins on the dockside weigh-ins, because I know people, they're lovely events, but I do hope from, the fisheries manager in me wants to see fish out of the water for as short as possible. And with our board, you can put the fish facing left. You can put the fish facing right. It can be upside down. You don't have to manipulate the fish and push it up against a bump or pinch the tail or do anything.
Yeah.
You measure the fish in its relaxed state, and that's its real length. That's what it is in the water.
Yeah.
And so I really do hope that people that run tournaments look to us as an alternative. And it's not to say that what we're trying to do is change the way that tournaments are done, but I think if we can do a better job of the management of handling fish less, it's better for the species and the conservation and everybody.
For sure. Sure.
Yeah.
And the only downside to all that, you just mentioned it before, the way in, people like to see fish brought in, I suppose.
They can live without it.
Yeah, and there might be a workaround that too with Paul's product here, Anglers Leaderboard. Maybe, I'm just sort of thinking about this, and maybe those images as they're being weighed in out in the field in various parts, maybe that image can go up on a big screen at the tournament site and saying, Peter Bowman just weighed in this beautiful 5 pound, so it adds to, and they could see your running total.
Absolutely,
there's ways of doing this, I think, that would be perfect.
And I think you can still get the same experience. But the fish is actually where you caught it when you're doing that.
Well, there is that, right? But
I do like that immediate release. I like what the MLF is doing that. I think that's a great idea. That there's a Lake Fork in Texas. I think the BASS does it there because of size limits too, and so it's implemented in that lake too. It's a good idea. It's the safest for the fish for sure.
Well, I'll tell you.
But I do get the big weigh-in thing. I get it. It's kind of the hype and everything. It's a business, right? That's the problem with it. Probably is that it's a business versus the absolute safety of the fish. So I get it.
This would be cool. Anyways, you got our attention, Paul. This is a tremendous product. I think anybody who is. Oh, first of all, what's the price? How much is it going to cost me to get one of these babies?
Yeah, so it's the software, which is $40 a year. Okay. So that gives you photo measure, and that gives you the ability to access the personal leaderboard, which is your own catches, and the regional leaderboard where you compete with others. And then the photo measure board, which together are $159.
So the board is about $110 and $40 a year. Once you get the board, obviously you don't have to repurchase it, and then it's $40 a year. Beyond that, are there different levels of packages, or is just the one package?
Yeah, just the one.
Perfect. Wow.
Yeah.
When you think that a couple of lures these days could cost you about that.
That's why I was going to the sale for today. That's why I turned around. I said, wait a minute, I can't, I'll wait till next week.
I stand corrected here. My CAO just came in with a piece of paper that said $154.99.
There you
the
go.
CAO knows best.
That's less. There you go.
We get it.
Sounds fantastic, man. I think.
Then you get the board. Once you get the board, it's there forever, and then it's just you repay for the app every year, right? So it's not bad. So
and there's
the board floats. The board floats.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, nice.
Even better.
Yeah.
Great
super easy to clean.
And what's nice, because it's predominantly software, it is software aside from the board, is that this thing can grow legs every day. Like as new technology becomes available, or as you have time to develop different aspects of this software, it can just continue growing. And I'm sure it's as simple as updating or downloading an update type of thing, and boom, you're
and the more buddies you introduce, the more people that get everybody introduces buddies. All of a sudden, this is a huge community. So
fantastic, man! Congratulations.
Right, thank you very much, guys.
We'll talk about the ice app next time, because I didn't want to, just jam it all together all in one. I don't think we could do it justice. But Anglers Leaderboard, it's called. It's available now. I'm assuming the website is anglersleaderboard.com.
That is correct, sir.
All right, simple to find. Go check it out. We're going to have this unit going on our boat, because even just between you and I, think of the things that we could do with this thing.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be a blast.
Think about the stuff we forget.
Well, yeah.
Every fish we catch pretty much is a forgotten thing after the next one comes in. At least we could have an idea.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Paul. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Take care.
See you, Paul.
Wow.
That sounds fun.
Dr. Paul Cooley. Product is called Anglers Leaderboard, and I got a feeling this thing is going to grow pretty quick.
Yeah.
Got a feeling it's going to grow.
It's got
pretty
legs.
quick.
It's got the ability for sure.
Dino, did we miss anything, buddy?
Just the bonus code.
I don't have one.
Bonus code.
Oh,
bonus
Mr.
code.
Bonus.
Hey.
See? You don't have to, when I'm in charge of the bonus code, I just know because it's there.
Well, then, if you want that bonus code
Yes.
that's been so highly anticipated by Angelo amongst all his listeners, then it is today.
Correct.
All capitals. Remember, that's very important. This is all caps.
Why is
here,
that,
okay?
by the way?
Why not? What the heck? Why not?
No, but
Because you can't do it all small case, because then you have to start with a uppercase
Yeah,
and then
that's
go to
why we
small
do it.
case. So you don't want to do that.
Because
So you just make it all
sometimes it's a
upper.
name or something, and then you have to have an uppercase, and you don't want to confuse people.
Hey. Can I read my friggin'...
Bubba, hang on a minute. Why do we have to make it case sensitive?
That's a question for the developers.
Yes.
No. So it is a developer thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking.
'Cause you're-
Because, see, to me, you're just making it difficult for people.
Right.
That's all.
Right. But I'm trying to
gotta
explain
earn
it
the
as
product.
best. Yeah, I got to try to explain as I can, best I can.
Plain.
This week's code, all caps. Leaderboard, Leaderboard. Leaderboard. Mickey Mouse. Leaderboard, that is, everybody. There you go.
I used to rush home to watch that every day.
Did you?
Mickey Mouse? Remember the girls, the little Mickey Mouse?
The girls what? Excuse me, sir? What were you watching?
Annette Funicello was her name.
Oh, right. I know. I remember her. Yeah.
And the guy was
Mickey? I don't know.
Annette Funicello.
I do remember that. That's why. See, that's what you remember. You remember her quite well, don't you?
Yes, sir. Used to rush home every day.
Indeed, to hit the leaderboard.
So, I'm sorry. Did you get that?
That's all done. I can spell it out if you
and
want.
what
again.
happens if you get this and you do that?
You get 10 extra bonus code there.
Get
Points
the hell
there.
out of here.
Oh my!
Look at you.
George Takei says, "Oh my."
All right. That are it? We got everything done?
I think we
Yes,
got
sir.
everything done. Unless Dean has more for us.
No, that's it.
More bonuses, more anything like that.
That's all we got.
Don't forget fishingcanada.com, the gateway, the portal to your next fishing adventure. But more importantly, it's where you go to enter all of these wonderful
the leaderboard,
bonus
and then you
codes.
might as well take a look at the hoodies while you're at it too. Oops, did I say that? Sorry.
With that, like the one you got on?
I like this fashionable, most comfortable.
I like that two-tone, the slate with the black.
I'm all about two-tone. They call me
Wow.
two-tone, right?
Do they?
Yeah, two-tone.
And
Pete.
why is that?
There's a lot of different tones come out of me, right? There's the deep, and there's high, and there's everything in between, but I just use the two tones.
Okay, that are it. On behalf of the entire crew, Volvo over there, Nick over here, and we've got this guy here, Dean Taylor. He's Peter. I'm Angelo. Thanks for joining us, folks. Talk to you next week. This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio has been brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Centre, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. And Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures.